Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. Thanks for watching the show. I'm your host, Paul Tripoli. Coach Tripp, to my players where I was for 20 years a coach and now back in the arena, going to Pensacola High School, help turn them around. Coming up this year, I got two really special guests today on the show. Up to my left, Michael Woods, Coach Woods. Woody, it's great to see you, man.
Hey, appreciate you having me, Paul.
Hey, and below us, Coach Andy Pannafino. Coach Pannafino is a longtime teacher and coach, high school, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, lacrosse coach, football coach, and we're going to have a blast today. Thanks for watching the show. My gosh. All right, guys, you know I love stories. You guys have wonderful stories, and I want you to tell them. Coach Pan, let's start out with you. Talk about your mom and your dad and growing up, Coach. We'll get to those stories. We'll get to those stories in a second with Coach O'Leary's stories. There's so many. I mean, my God, there's hundreds and hundreds of Coach O'Leary stories. But Coach Pan, I want our listeners to know a little bit about you. Talk about growing up, your siblings, mom and dad, and how you got your love and passion for lacrosse and football.
Yeah, I also coach basketball too, believe it or not. But I grew up, my hometown's Fulton, New York, up there between Syracuse, Lake Ontario, with all the lake effect stuff.
Yeah.
So
how much they get over the weekend?
Here in southeast Pennsylvania, where they say snow, people go crazy. They don't really know what snow's like. Unless you grew up in upstate New York, then you know what snow's really like. So we have snow days here for no reason other than 4 letters, SNLW. So I went to Fulton High School, went for 2 years at Murray State University in Kentucky. Then I transferred to Slippery Rock State College, Pennsylvania, graduated from there with my bachelor's degree. Then I got my first teaching job. I graduated in the middle of the school year, and I got my first teaching job in Liverpool at Mark Lovelace Elementary. And, of course, that's no longer there. That was up on a hill there. You guys probably know where Mark Lovelace used to be. There was a first-year teacher who quit. He quit halfway through the year. It was perfect for me. And Dr. Laporta liked me because I had an Italian last name. So the stack of people who applied for the job was like this high. And Dr. Laporta called my house and talked to my mother. My mother begged him to hire me. She said, please hire my son, please. So he did, and I started at Mark Lovelace. And then I quickly transferred to Sewell Road Middle School, which was right next to the high school, and now it's a 9th grade annex. And when we moved out of Morgan Road, when we moved out of Morgan Road Middle, we went to Sewell Road Middle, and I taught there. And I was coaching at Liverpool High School freshman for a number of years, and whether I did a good job or not, I don't know. I mean, in some ways, yes, in some ways, no. As a young coach, you make a lot of mistakes. Right. And I think I overemphasized, I'm gonna tell the truth, I overemphasized winning. And that's not what you do at the 9th grade level. You shouldn't do that. So that was my bad. I was bad on that. So after a number of years of 9th grade freshman football at Liverpool High School, I wanted to move up, but there was no opportunity to move up. So then someone got me connected to North Syracuse High School. And so I was still teaching at Sewell Road, and I got a coaching job with the varsity at North Syracuse for 2 years. Coach O'Leary came in my second year at North Syracuse. He came into Liverpool from Central Islip. I got to know him. I'd go over to his house. We'd sit down and talk football because I taught in Liverpool, but I coached in North Syracuse, which is a rival, right? So
it was, yeah.
Coach O'Leary was very open. We'd sit in he had his football room with wall-to-wall books on football. And I said, can I borrow some books? Like going to the library, he had a whole thing where you could check out books because he wanted to make sure that you returned them. So we would talk football. So after his second year, he contacts me. He says, can you come? You want to come back and coach with me at Liverpool? I said, of course I do. So that's when I came back, and it was your guys' senior year. And what a group to come into with so much talent. And Coach O'Leary, his first year at Liverpool was kind of like, you have to kind of like get things oriented and players get used to your style. And Coach O'Leary was very much rules oriented. and structured oriented big time. I learned a lot about how to set up a practice schedule. I mean, I learned many things. Coach O'Leary, probably one of the best football coaches. I'm not talking just high school, college, in the whole country. He did coach pro football, as you guys know.
Yep.
So he was top football in the country and one of the top, I would say maybe the best, pretty close to the best defensive coach ever. And when he was at Georgia Tech, people don't realize he was coach of the year were they in the Southeast Conference?
Yeah,
he was coach of the year.
No, the ACC.
Yeah, AAC. He was twice coach of the year at Georgia Tech.
Right.
And there was another coach in that same league. Kind of people knew his name, Bobby Bowden. Yes. And so Coach O'Leary got coach of the year over Bobby Bowden twice.
Oh my gosh, Coach, man,
got,
what a story! How you got there? I remember you coached me in 8th grade lacrosse. It's the only year I played lacrosse.
Really?
You guys are both big lacrosse, and we're going to talk a little bit about lacrosse, about lax.
Oh my goodness!
We're going to talk about that.
Lacrosse.
I was, well, in
Hey,
high school,
George made us play so we could, because he was coaching it.
Yes.
My freshman year, all of us, Comer, Emmy, Goulet, I didn't even have a choice. Never had a stick, never picked up anything like that. He said, "Hey, you're playing lacrosse because that way I can run your ass in the spring."
Yeah. Well, he treated spring lacrosse like football. It was spring football.
Yeah.
That's why he wanted his football players playing lacrosse.
You know what? I was a golfer, man. Thank God I played golf. He couldn't touch me because I think I won MVP my freshman year before he got there. So he knew I wasn't going to play lax.
Hey, I fell in love with lax. I love the sport to this day. But to be honest, I had no idea ever thinking about playing lacrosse until the first time we meet Coach O'Leary. Where I was a freshman when he was his first year, because I'm 1 year behind Paul.
Woody, you ended up coaching lacrosse, girls lacrosse, where you never had a losing season when you coached girls lacrosse. And then you coach men's lacrosse. Woody, talk about coaching women in those championship teams that you had, and what's the difference between coaching ladies team and a men's team?
Oh, that's a huge bridge you got to cross, But when I first started coaching lacrosse, I was coaching football at Ithaca, and they needed a second sport. And Longman, the lacrosse coach down at Ithaca, his staff was full. So they gave me put me over with the women. And the lady that was the head coach, super nice lady, Pete Van Huven. But she was like everybody have fun, nice, everything like that. And I was coming in like, hey, let's win, I mean, let's play hard, figure this out. So I put in a zone defense the first time because I didn't know about the rules with women's lacrosse. I had no idea. I put in a zone defense with a chaser, and we doubled the ball wherever it went. We ended up being one of the best teams in the country defensively, goals against wise. And the goalie ended up being a first-team All-American, Brooke Andrews. And it was like anybody that came in the middle, we fouled them, put them on the line because our goalie was so good.
Coach Pannafino, how did you get your love for lacrosse, and what's it? Tell us a little bit about some of the teams or some of the players. I wasn't very good. I mean, how about some of the great lacrosse players at Syracuse that played football and lacrosse? Two that I can think of. Joe Ehrman was a great football player, first-round pick of the Bills or the Colts, and then he played lacrosse. And he talked about in his book, Inside Out Coaching. And I want to talk about Coach O'Leary in his library of books because I'm a big reader as well. But Coach Ehrman talked about the difference between the transactional coach that he had in football and Roy Simmons, the transformational coach that he had in lacrosse. And that's what he wrote his book on, and that's how he ended up coaching. But Coach Pannafino, talk about the mix of lacrosse, football. Woody mentioned it, but the great Jim Brown is probably one of the greatest lacrosse players that people don't know about.
Yep. I was just going to say that you're correct. Jim Brown was probably the best lacrosse player college ever. He was unbelievable. He was better lacrosse than football at Syracuse.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, believe it or not, he was tremendous. But
You couldn't stop
when I was teaching at Morgan Road, then Sewell Road, Al Rhines was the other phys ed teacher. He was the varsity boys lacrosse coach. This was after, would it be after Coach O'Leary, I believe? I'm losing track of my dates here. But anyways, he asked me if I would start the 9th grade program because there was no feeder program at Liverpool. You got to start lacrosse young. Actually, you should start it like in elementary school. So we started the first year that I coached lacrosse, we were 0-10. You couldn't beat anybody. I mean, come on, you just can't pick up a stick, right? It's very difficult.
Yeah.
You got to start when you're young. Okay, by time I think I coached lacrosse for 4 years, maybe 5. By the time I was finished, there was only one school we did not beat, and that was Camillus, which was part of West Genesee. We did beat West Genesee junior high, but we didn't beat Camillus. And the Lafayette kids, when we were starting off to learn how to play, the Lafayette kids would wahoo that ball. They'd run up the score, and they would kill us and laugh at us after the game. By the time we got to the end, we were beating Lafayette, and they were crybabies.
That's because they couldn't.
One thing I learned about lacrosse, and Mike, you probably would say the same thing. You put your best athlete in the goal. Your goalies
always had good goalies, and they weren't just the fat kid. I mean, they were regular players.
And I remember practicing indoors before the snow's on the ground, right?
Oh yeah.
Indoor, and you got to be careful. That ball is pretty tough.
Oh.
To learn how to play the game, I started playing summer lacrosse because I didn't know anything about the game. So I was playing summer lacrosse with these kids that came home from college, and most of them were college All-Americans. I remember we played down in Ithaca in a game, and I was a midi, and I got switched off on an attackman, right? You switch off on defense sometimes. And this All-American attackman, I blinked my eyes. All I did is blink my eyes. He shot the ball over my shoulder into the goal, corner of the goal, above the goalie's shoulders. I just blinked my eyes. That's how quick he was.
Man, what a sport. It's really
cool. The best team I had, or the best couple teams I had, was when I went out to Chapman. I coached men's club lacrosse out at Chapman. And the Northeast basically, has NCAA Division I, Division III lacrosse. The whole rest of the country played club, now a lot of teams have kind of matured into but 15 years ago, it was all club lacrosse. Like I played Michigan, I played Oregon, I played Cal, I played Stanford, and I was at Chapman, a little Division III school, but everybody played in the same league, I went to 2 national championships, lost them both to freaking Michigan.
Oh, did you really? Oh yeah. My gosh. It's growing down here. All the high schools,
we
went 19-0 and lost the final, the club final.
Oh my gosh. What a heartbreaker.
Oh,
Paul, you've been a great lacrosse player.
Oh,
golf. You can take golf and throw that out the window. You would have been a great lacrosse player.
Hey, not if you're looking at the money they're paying now.
Well,
I had a passion for too many sports, man. In my senior year, Oscar Jensen, who I was talking with Todd Richardson today, and he credits Oscar Jensen for helping him in the weight room as well, and so does Bill Pendock. But I ran track my senior year instead of golf because Syracuse said I was too slow to play up there. So I was trying to improve my speed. It didn't work. They still didn't want me, and I thank Coach O'Leary to this day for not taking me up to Syracuse with him.
That was a big $64,000 question. Why they didn't take you?
Because I was a little bit wild, Woody. I didn't have the best grades. I was just I was a wild card, man. I was just When I went to Alabama, I didn't know
Not
anybody
quite.
in Alabama. I could start my whole life over again, man. When I went to Alabama, I didn't know a single soul when I went there.
Worked out great for you.
Woody, how did you, gosh, your story is amazing. We were really good in high school. I mean, gosh, we both had a lot of picks that year, 79.
Yep.
I think I had 7, you had 6 or something that year. It was,
I don't know what the number was, but it was.
I don't either, but it was a
Throw
lot.
it to our side.
Throw it to it, Dad. Don't throw it to our side, Dad. Don't throw it to Tripp and Woody's side. You're in trouble, man.
That was a lot of fun, that team. But
oh my God,
100%, you throw it right back on George O'Leary making us tackle the shit out of each other for every single practice, every single,
bang. I mean, we banged a lot. We were never hurt either. We didn't have a lot of injuries, even though we banged a lot.
Felt it was harder in practice going against the offense.
Well, that's what I learned. That's one of the things I learned from him, Coach Pannafino, is Coach O'Leary and Coach Bryant. When I went to Alabama, they both were staunch supporters of making practice harder than the games. And that Coach Pannafino, let's talk some Coach Bryant or Coach O'Leary stories. The weight room, that little closet down at the end of the hall at 5:30 in the morning. Coach Pannafino, you were there. You and Coach O'Leary talk about those circuit workouts, he called it. I don't know where he got it from. Maybe one of those books he read, but they were brutal. Coach, tell the stories.
Well, before I forget, Coach O'Leary told me when we were at Liverpool that he said at Central Islip, where he came from, he was noted as being a better lacrosse coach than football.
Ooh, wow.
His father was the football coach at Central Islip, and then George kind of like stepped into it and also coached lacrosse. But that was at 5:30 in the morning.
Jeez. Before school.
It was dark.
6 o'clock in the morning before school.
Yeah. Well, he sold that to the administration. He said, I'm going to get these players in here. They're going to be wide awake for their first class, and they're going to be clean because they're going to be forced to take a shower. So we're coming out of the coach's room, right? And we're coming down the hall. Like you said, it was a closet at the end of the hall. And I knew what George was going to do. You guys didn't know. He comes in the room, blows his whistle. He starts yelling at you guys. Pick it up. You guys are not ready to do the circuit training. He took a chair. He threw it across the room. I don't know. He almost hit 2 or 3 players. And then you guys got so scared. You started pumping iron like there was no tomorrow because George was a great motivator, and he knew people didn't know where he was coming from. I did. I would sit back and I would laugh. I try to cover my smile because you guys would say, "What? Why is Pannafino smiling? O'Leary's yelling at us." No, I don't want that to happen. But
Coach, what did he say in those coaches' meetings about us, man? What did he say about that team? Because we had a lot of college Division I and a lot of NFL players from that one team.
We had football meetings in his house on Sunday. And we'd watch film. We'd have something to eat. George was always very cordial. His wife was very cordial, Sharon. Marty O'Leary, your senior year is when Marty was born. And Marty, like I told you the other day on the phone, Marty ended up being one of his PR guys at University of Central Florida when George was head coach there. But anyway, so yeah, we'd have meetings and we'd have a scouting report. We would scout, of course, Friday night games. Because remember, we didn't have lights. You guys played at Griffin Field until your senior year, was it?
Right.
Well, we built that field.
Right. And so
that's a whole other story.
But there were no lights. So that was actually good because we got to go watch teams play on a Friday night live and not have to send scouts. And George would always go by himself. He'd smoke a cigar. I don't know how he got away with it. He'd walk around the other side of the field behind the other team's bench, and we would be up in the bleachers where we had a good vision to write things down. We would write every play down, every play that team had in that game. So you'd have film, you'd watch film, plus you'd have the coaches read out on a print. George had this paper with all kinds of stuff on it. You just draw lines in paper and number the play, number the down and distance. And it was, George is way ahead of his time back then.
Yes, he was.
football from him. It's unbelievable what I learned. I thought I knew football, and when I met him, I found out I didn't know shit.
It's okay. You can cuss on here. Coach, he was amazing. Tell me about those books, because I'm a big book reader, and I like to learn from great coaches, and it sounds like he picked up some of this stuff from other great coaches that he learned out. But he was a staunch disciplinarian, man. He talk about the going through the goalpost, Coach Pannafino, the 2 lines. We would enter and leave practice, not just games, practices in 2 lines, and it was unmatched. You could not deter from that tradition. Talk about the time the championship game where they had soccer nets.
Before I forget, George had some basic rules. First of all, when he has a meeting, you better be 15 minutes early. You're on time by being 15 minutes early. That was his rule. His other rule was when you're tired, like, preseason, heat, summer, and all that stuff, pray for strength. Don't bitch and complain. Pray for strength. His other rule was when you're on the grass, whether practice field or going for a game, you run on grass. You don't walk. Now, you guys walked down to the practice field because that was a sidewalk. That wasn't grass. You hit the grass at the end, at the top of the hill, right? Then you went down to the practice field. But you guys always 2 lines. Remember, from the high school locker room to the practice field, 2 lines. Yep. Same thing for the game. You went on the field, practice field, or game field, 2 lines. You came off in 2 lines, but you went underneath the goalpost to enter the field and exit underneath the goalpost. So on that sectional championship game, it seems like it was just yesterday. So that was, if you want to talk about Henniger, I'll slip this in, Henniger. If you remember, we had a 4-way scrimmage that year, preseason, at East Syracuse, Manoa. And Henniger was there with us, East Syracuse, and I forgot the other. I think Janesville DeWitt might have been the other team. It was a 4-way scrimmage. So you took turns playing. So we happened to get up against Henniger after we had just finished our series with somebody. They were resting, watching us. So now we're going up against them. So they want the ball on the 5-yard line going in. They wanted, come on. So we had to stop them from the 5-yard line going in. It took them 10 plays to score. Why did I say that? I say that because now we're going to go back to the game at Coyne Field. Preseason, we scrimmaged them. Who would have guessed sectional championship? We're going to see the same team. And they were great. They had great
2
players.
undefeated great teams. Yeah, yep. 2 great teams.
Tommy Acey was their coach, and he was a very good – he was football and lacrosse coach, Tommy Acey. Yep. He was a great coach.
Right.
So anyways, here we go. That was a battle. The battle, the trenches were warfare, right? And you guys beat their butts. There was no 2-way about it. They thought they're going to have a scrimmage. No, George played the scrimmage preseason, different than the game. A scrimmage is when you learn what you have to work on. A game is where you score more points to win the game. And when you guys played Henniger, when we played Henniger and Coyne Field, by the way, that was a terrible field, wasn't it? It was like an ice skating rink. Oh my God. You slid all over. But that back then, who could play on artificial turf? No one ever played on it. So that was like a treat, although that field stunk. It was terrible. So after the game's done, we won, right? So George is getting interviewed by the radio or TV. I think it was TV. He's being interviewed on the sidelines by TV. You guys were in your 2 lines at the 50-yard line. 2 lines, waiting for him. I was standing up front with you guys, the captains. And I don't know who it was, Barry Hill, I don't know who it was, said to me, Coach, and they pointed down to the goalpost. And I knew what he was. We want to go through the goalpost. Those goalposts had soccer nets set up because the next morning was going to be the sectional soccer championships at Coyne Field. So they pointed at the goalpost for the soccer nets. They looked at me. I said, let me put it this way. I'm not going to tell you not to. And your eyes lit up. I saw the eyes light up, and boom, there goes the team right through the goalpost, right through the soccer net, put a hole in the net. I never heard any complaints about that.
He was.
Hey, we were afraid not to do it,
Yeah, we were afraid not to. We were more afraid not to do it than who was going to punish us for actually, tearing up the net. Yeah, we didn't care about that. We were way more scared than O'Leary. Yeah, he was. Gosh, man, I still have once in a while nightmares about being late to Coach O'Leary or Coach Bryant's meetings. And I have teammates in Alabama that still, to this day, Dr. McCullough, who played on the '61 national title team. He's still once or twice a year around fall. He has a nightmare about being late to Coach Bryant's meeting. So, of course, I take that into coaching, right? I always tell them to be early is to be on time. To be on time is to be late, and to be late is to be forgotten. Don't let me forget you.
Exactly.
Because I will, and that's what I'm afraid Coach O'Leary and Coach Bryant would do. They'd forget you. But helmet stickers. He was a master motivator. Coach O'Leary was. Remember those helmet stickers, Woody, on Monday?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember a lot of the punishing stuff we did, but I remember him handing out those helmet stickers to us.
I remember we used to get them if you got them for a turnover, but the ones when you got the big hit.
Oh, Coach Pannafino's got a list of what sticker that you would get, right, Coach? Don't you have that list somewhere? I got it in my phone. But all right. So there's so many. How about Coach? There's so many stories that we have to go over. The circuit were two. Of course, we talked about the two lines. There's so many things. Golden Valley.
Oh,
Golden Valley. It should have been. It should have been Golden Valley. Coach Pannafino, talk about Golden Valley. The training camp. He took us to training camp like 7 or 10 days without any phones or without any
no contact,
any contact at all. No, and that helped us, build that unity, that team chemistry, that togetherness, which is the most important quality of a team, but it's the hardest to instill. Talk about that training camp, Coach.
Yeah, remind me to come back to practice because there's something I want a story with practice. Okay. We'd go. Coach O'Leary's main point with that was to get you guys away from home where you might get in trouble. So he didn't want you going home after practice, gallivanting around, getting in trouble, and whatever. So right. Golden Valley, you couldn't get in trouble because you're under his thumb the whole time. So you get up in the morning, go out for the run. Now, back then, I was young. I could actually run with you guys. So I remember running with you guys. Come back in to the barracks, take your shower, go to breakfast, and that punch, that drink that they served gave you diarrhea. It was terrible. Anyways, and maybe you guys didn't have any trouble with that. And then you go out for first session, right? Because there was a morning session, afternoon session, and a night session would usually be special teams. Well, I remember at one practice, probably middle of the week, things were getting kind of boring. So to spice things up, Coach O'Leary stops all the practice, brings everyone together in a group huddle, and he calls Bill Pendock into the middle. And he says, Pendock, I want you to show the team how you tackle. And he calls Coach Chambliss into the middle, gives Coach Chambliss the football. One-on-one. Pendock, I blow the whistle. You tackle before he can get by you. Oh, my God. Right at that point, Coach Jones and I, we kind of like we're heading south. We kind of like we're backing out of the line because we didn't know if Coach was going to call us next. Well, he blows the whistle. Chambliss gives him a head dodge. He dodges Pendock. Pendock let him get by. Come on. We're not stupid. Pendock didn't want to hurt him. Pendock's in full uniform. What did he weigh? He weighed 245 or something.
Herb had some swivel, though.
I mean, he could have killed Coach Chambliss, but he let him go by. He was nice, but Coach Jones and I were really scared because we didn't know if we were going to be next. The worst thing that happened at Golden Valley, the worst thing you guys did one night, someone called for a pizza and had it delivered, and I remember seeing someone run out to the road to get the pizza to sneak it back in. It was like that's the worst thing.
Yeah, that to be honest, there was. Exhausted.
Yeah.
At the end of the first what?
Oh, we tried. We got out one night, but there's no place to go. We didn't really do anything. We just got out. We snuck out. It was a good place because we're always trying to, we were always getting in trouble. So you got to have discipline.
He had the school truck bring the weights.
Yep.
Remember all the free weights, bars and plates, they were all delivered so we could have strength training during the week. George was
we unloaded that truck and had to load it back up every.
He was big into strength training.
All right, so let's talk about Liverpool playing downtown and never having a field on their campus. And George put a stop to that in 1979. He got a hold with Tony Emmy's dad, Mr. Emmy, because he was a farmer, and he got some sod from Georgia. And what do you remember? Preparing the field, laying the sod, watering it, fertilizing it, cutting it. We camped out in a tent for weeks.
We did. We were there every night, every day, every night. And nobody. I don't think one was doing the post holes for the fence.
Coach Pan, nobody scored a point on us the whole year on our home field that year.
The defense gave up 3.3 average a game.
Oh, yeah.
Not really. The 2 points versus Cicero was a freaking safety because Sweeney freaking missed the block. I remember him talking about that story. We only gave up 3.1.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but I told you I coached 2 years at North Syracuse varsity before George let me come back to Liverpool. North Syracuse had a JV coach who took the head job when the year I came back, the second year of George. He had 3 plays that he taught the players at North Syracuse. It was 3 in a row. No huddle, 3 plays in a row, like 3 trick plays in a row. Mm. Well, I knew what those plays were. So before North Syracuse, I said, Coach, here's the 3 plays. You guys don't remember. We practiced for those 3 plays. So when North Syracuse, I think the game was at Liverpool. When North Syracuse came out with those 3 no huddle plays, you guys were ready. So what happened? First play, they lost yardage. No huddle. Second play, they lost yardage. Third play, somehow I think we intercepted, went for a touchdown. That's preparation.
I remember practice. I remember practice before the Henniger game. He stood up all the starters and went through why we were good enough to beat them. Woody, do you remember that practice?
I don't think he ever said why I was good enough for him to beat him.
No, man, I couldn't believe it.
He never said one word good that I was any good. Practice he would threaten me that if they ran outside or if I missed a tackle or whatever, that there was hell to pay.
Practices were rough, man, and he got me ready for Coach Bryant. When I coached, the head coaches would say I would tell more Coach O'Leary stories than Coach Bryant stories.
Hey, he put us through the grinder, but that was the reason why we were good.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Woody, we paid the price. We earned what we got that year. You know,
Woody, you coached, your player coach for Kempten Comets in Kempten, Germany. Head coach of the JV team back in Ithaca in 96, 97. Then you went to Paris, became a player, I guess, the head coach of DC in Paris. The Euro took him to the Euro semifinals. Then back to Colombia. Got your master's, and then many years in Italy, at Bolzano, Italy. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
Yep, Bolzano.
5 years in Milan. Woody, why do you like Europe? Why do you like going back to Europe and coaching those guys over there? And have you learned any languages over there?
Yeah. I understand Italian pretty good. I mean, because I've lived there so many different times.
Right.
But and I know a little bit of Spanish. I know a little bit of German. My French is terrible. But I think everybody's French is terrible. You know? But I had a crazy journey. Talking about Coach Chambliss. I'm in Paris. I get a job. I coached at Ithaca. I coached first year coaching. I'm the JV head coach at Ithaca. We go to the convention. A guy I meet at the convention gets me a deal to go to Paris, be the head coach in Paris. It was Brian Carlson. He was the head coach at Keene College. He had been in Paris the year before. like didn't coach his kids in the spring or anything. It was Division III.
Yeah.
He can't go back, but he didn't ever tell him he couldn't go back. So he calls me and offers me the job. I go in his place. When I get off the plane, they're like, "Oh, hey, Coach Woods. Oh, yeah. Where's Coach Carlson? He's not coming. I'm your head coach." So, and that year in Paris, I'm with the Musketeers. We were good. That was a good team, man. Fast.
Wow.
You know, a lot of African kids. You know, because Paris is a very diverse city, but a lot
Right.
of
Right.
African province. You know, is
Right.
Those kids. Everybody goes to Paris.
Yeah.
And so
Wow.
I get done with that year. We had a great year. We went to the semifinal, we lost the semifinal in the French league, but then we went to the Euro Bowl. Played a team from London. We beat them. We played a team we played Amsterdam Crusaders. We beat them. We go down to Bologna, Italy, and we're playing a game down there. And I've never been hosed by the officials so bad, but that game was the worst one. We're up 2 touchdowns. And they kick off, or they score. We're up 3 touchdowns. They score to cut it to 2. We run the kickoff back 100 yards. Call back holding.
Yeah.
They go down and they end up stopping us. They get the ball at midfield. They go down and score. They after they score, we get the ball. They stop us. They get the ball. We stop them. We block a punt, run it back for a touchdown. Offsides. They go down and score. They go down and score. They go for 2 for the win. We stop them. We got defensive holding in the end zone. They run the play again. They go for it. They go for 2 again. They score. They beat us by a point. They go to the European final.
Oh yeah.
My whole French team. Holy Christ! I thought it was going to be World War III. And going after, because all the officials we were playing down in Bologna were all the Italian guys.
Yeah.
They weren't letting the French guys come into Italy and win a freaking semifinal.
No way.
Chance whatsoever.
No chance. You must have got different kinds of officials in the European League.
Oh, that was crazy. And
that was the craziest.
To be honest,
one,
the head coach from the Bologna team coached at Wisconsin and was retired and everything. So he knew, I was Ohio State. Yeah. We got talking or anything like that. Yeah. After the game, he's apologizing to me. He's like, you guys should have, I know the officials were bad. It was a bad officiated game. And so he ends up giving me a call 6 months later and gets me the job in Bolzano. That's how I end up in Bolzano, Italy.
Oh, wow.
Mario Russo was the guy's name.
Woody, I'm going to turn the clock back a little bit. Talk about some great memories at Ohio State, and who was in your corner? Who was a coach that had your back, that believed in you and kept you from quitting? As there's plenty in my story, but I want to hear about your because you won some conference championships there. Talk about your Ohio State, how you broke in, how you got to play.
When I get there, my walk-on story was, there was 36 of us that walked on my freshman year, and we came in with the freshmen. So there was about 60 guys that came into camp like a week earlier, 4 or 5 days early.
Yeah.
And I came in with Keith Byers, Pepper Johnson. Those 2 were like the 2 big dogs in my class.
Mm-hmm.
And then, hey, that first week or whatever, I'm like, hey, I'm not doing so bad. I'm fitting in, everything like that, All the walk-on guys, my jersey number was jersey number 104. We were in a separate locker room. The main locker room at Woody Hayes facility had 99 lockers in it. So if you were on scholarship, and back then it was 95 scholarships, you were in that locker room.
Yep.
The rest of us were down the hall, down the stairs, in the corner. I mean, we were behind the
heater and radiator and everything.
All that stuff. Cold water, but the room was 150 degrees, but no hot water. End of camp, my freshman year. We're sitting last day of camp. I'm sitting in my room, and a kid named Williamson was my roommate. Bill Miles was the Turk. The Turk comes knocking on the door. Hey, Williams, grab your playbook. Coach wants to see you down in the lobby. Hear him walk down. Next guy. I'm sitting in the room. Coach Miles comes walking back. He goes, "Who the hell are you? What the hell are you still doing here?" I said, "Hey, Coach, you told Coach Williams to take his playbook and go down to see Coach." We thought that was a good thing. He was going down to see Coach and about the playbook. They wanted his playbook back. He goes, "If you don't get your ass on the bus and get to practice, I'm going to send your ass down to get your playbook and go see Coach."
Wow.
So I go back. We get down there. There were 36 of us in that little locker room before. There were 12 of us left. So each coach, I think, kept one walk-on. Got one guy to freaking, be the dummy for the
be the blocking dummy for a while.
And Dom Capers was my DB coach.
Dom Capers was your DB coach?
Well, when I went and visited, because I told you I went to Navy Prep. I spent a year at Navy Prep
out of high school, yeah.
And that's the only way I made it as a walk-on, because I had that whole year in Naval Academy.
Oh.
And that toughened me up and got me, I wasn't, the snotty-nosed kid coming out of high school. I was already had a year under my belt. So when I walked on, I was like actually a sophomore, or my second-year guy. But I went in as a true freshman, no credits transferred or anything.
Wow.
So there was 12 of us left in that locker room at the end of practice that day. And we call ourselves the Dirty Dozen, everybody had the jersey numbers, and everybody throw their stuff in the, bins and everything like that. Well, we'd have to go fish our stuff out of the bin for the next day because they never took it to go get it washed. It just went and laid in the bin, because our stuff never got washed.
The worst equipment. Yeah. Was there a moment, Woody, though, that you said you could play here? I know there was for me at Bama. Was there a moment or a play or maybe a scrimmage or something that you said, you know what, I can play here?
My first 2 years, I was just a scout team guy.
Right.
And I went 100% every single play. I mean, I picked guys off the pile. I was the biggest asshole freaking as far as the starting offense and the 1s and 2 guys. They freaking hated me because I didn't play on Saturdays. Tuesday, Wednesday was my game days, So when it was live, and I got in every front of every line, and I got put on full scholarship. Never played a freaking snap my sophomore year.
Wow!
And that was here's the funny story about that. All right, the last day of camp, the last day I would be eating training table, because then I had to my first year I was a walk on. I paid for my own school, everything like that. Practice end, the bus would take the team to the training table. I'd have to freaking run across campus to a cafeteria that was open at 7:00, just to get a freaking bite to eat. So the last day of camp, it's steak night. So, this is the last supper for me, So I go back in. I'm in the room stealing steaks. I got like 2 plates. I'm going to take them out. I'm going to take them home. It's steak night. I'm coming back for 2 more. All of a sudden, I hear everybody chanting "Woody, Woody, Woody" out in the cafeteria or out in the dining hall, area. And I'm thinking, oh, Coach Hayes is here, because Woody Hayes was still alive and came to practices and did some stuff when I was there. So I come walking out with my 2 plates of steaks and everything like that, and they're all yelling. They're like, "It's me," and Coach Bruce is sitting up in the front, and I'm like, "Hey, go see Coach Bruce," and I'm thinking, how do they know I fucking stole the steaks? I got no idea. So I put the steaks down. I go walking up, and Ray Conlon, who ended up being my roommate, just full tackles me right 2 steps before I'm going to go shake Coach Bruce's hand. I get full blindside tackled in the cafeteria. I still don't have any idea. I think I'm freaking in trouble for the freaking steaks. I get up there and he shakes my hand and he goes, and I said, "Hey, Coach, I don't what's going on. I was in getting food." And he goes, "Oh, I said all this nice stuff about you and everything like that." He goes, "Just so you know, it all ended. You're on scholarship. We're putting you on scholarship." That was the all-in moment.
Wow. Wow. You beat me, Woody. It took me 4 years to get a scholarship. I actually played 2 years before I even got my scholarship at Alabama before I got it.
You know what? I'd say Dom Capers was the guy in my corner,
Dom Capers was.
And then Gary Blackney replaced him because Capers ended up going to the USFL.
Woody, my college coach, I learned everything from my college DB coach. Everything. I even teach it to this day, everything that I learned from him. I went and played in the pros a few years. None of them were anywhere near as good as my college coach was.
Well, I'll give you here's the crazy story. When I left Navy Prep and I drive out to Ohio State to meet the coaching staff, and they offered me a walk-on spot, the preferred walk-on spot. Mm-hmm. The DB guy was Nick Saban. That's when he got fired. He got fired. Like, we left the building and spring ball started, and he got fired before spring ball.
I think he coached at Syracuse in '77. That I did not know that. And Miss Terry taught Coach Pannafino. Did you know Miss Terry taught history at Liverpool?
Oh, I didn't know she was at Liverpool.
Yep. They lived in Liverpool.
Who's that?
Sabins. Nick Saban and Miss Terry, his wife.
No.
She was a teacher at Liverpool High School.
No. Yeah. So I show up there. Nick Saban was the guy that, said, all right, you're going to shake my hand. All right, we'll see you in August. I get there, it's Dom Capers. Hey, the last guy didn't make it, Then he goes to the league, and Gary Blackney ends up being the guy when they put me on scholarship.
Wow. What a story, Woody.
But,
Coach,
here's a good end to that story. The day after they put me on scholarship, it's the first day of, regular season and everything like that. I go to the facility. I walk down that stairway, down the hall, everything like that, into looking at my 104 locker, everything, and my shit is gone. I go up to the training guy, and at the end, like when there was 36 and it went to 12, they took everybody's shit out of their lockers,
Yeah.
Went to the Bozic, who was the old crotchety, equipment guy that everybody had. Yeah. I'm like, Bose, where's my stuff? He goes, I put your stuff in your locker myself. I put your stuff in your locker myself. I said, Bose, I was just down at my locker. My stuff's not. I didn't get cut, Bose. I'm still playing here. And
what number like, is that? When they gave you number 24? Is that when they gave you the
yes.
number 24?
That's when. And the whole thing was, I'd never been in that freaking locker room my freshman year. I stood outside it. I stuck my head in it. I'd never gone in it, really.
Woody, we had the same thing in Alabama. We had like a freshman and walk-on locker room, they called it. And then the varsity was another locker room. I was in that thing for 2.5 years in the freshman locker room before I ever got to the varsity locker room. Unbelievable, isn't it?
That's when you knew that's when I knew I made it.
Yep.
Because we had a carpet. There was carpeting. There was your name was on the locker, everything like that. And I had 2 pair of shoes. I only had 1 pair of shoes my whole freshman year.
Yeah. Yep. That's how you knew you made it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Coach Pannafino, one more story. We got enough time for another story.
Well, here's the roster from your senior year, right?
Yeah.
Mike Woods, 5'11", 177. Paul Tripoli.
Been a long time since that.
6 foot 193. That was big back then.
I was big.
Here's the stats. The stats for that year. Let me go to individual stats. Hold on one second here. Paul Tripoli, rushing attempts 128, yards gained 746. That's an average of 5.8.
Should have kept giving you the ball.
No, I had O'Leary on. He said Smitty was faster. That's why he gave him the ball all the time.
Tommy O'Dye was quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Tommy O'Dye, when he was a freshman, we had 2 freshman teams because we had 100-some kids come out for freshman football.
Yeah.
So I remember Luke Laporte called me up. I finished my first year of teaching. He calls me up. He says, "You want to coach football?" I said, "Yeah." So we have to start a whole new team because we got 100-some kids, 9th graders come out. He said, "But you got the team by yourself." Oh, okay. And the other 2 guys were, they've been coaching before, so they got the other team. So Tommy O'Dye played for me. Excuse me. He was second. He was a backup quarterback as a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Backup quarterback as a freshman. He starts on an undefeated team as a senior.
Yep.
He didn't have so many points.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple of quick stories. Practice. There's a schedule. We had cards with time. Coaches had cards. This is the amount of time. Move on. Next time, move on. You stayed to schedule. Well, one day, you guys weren't on schedule because things weren't working well. What did coach do? He sent you back to the locker room, said, we're going to start all over again. So the whole team had to march back to the school locker room, come back out again, and we had to start practice all over again.
With the calisthenics, too.
I remember that. Holy cow, man. He was tougher than nails, that guy, boy.
Well, he was very superstitious. Coach O'Leary was very, very superstitious. He wore the same shorts for practice all the way through November. It was freezing out. He wore the same pants and the same sweater for every game. He was very superstitious.
I wear shorts to practice. I'm the only coach. Like if it gets a little, below 60 degrees, everybody's got pants on. Not me. I got shorts on. I tell everybody, Larry always wore shorts in upstate New York.
Coach was very detailed. You guys, you probably didn't appreciate it at the time. He had everything covered. We have everything. Quick kick, right? We practice quick kick. Who's going to use a quick kick? We're playing West Genesee. You guys, we're at West Genesee. It was a close game. West Genesee was pretty good, right? They ran that unbalanced line. The coach was, what was the coach's name? Pete Palin. He was the coach at West Genesee. So the game is close. I think it was the third quarter. I'm standing next to Coach O'Leary on the sidelines. We're deep in our own territory on offense. He goes, do you think we should quick kick? I looked at him and says, that's why you're the head coach.
He did. He was all defense, man. I love those goals or those that you sent me, Coach. And thanks for doing that. And I'm going to send them to the current high school football coach there at Liverpool because they don't have any stats or any history before 1980 at Liverpool.
I'll send you these stats. He said rushing, passing yards, total plays. This is everything from your senior year. All the stats are right here.
Good.
Now the copy's not going to look too good. I'll do the best I can. Send it to you.
Man, we had some players. Timmy Green, All-American, Chuck Sweeney, Bill Pendog, Woody. A lot of guys played Division III football as well on that team, from Comer to Goulet. Corsiniti, Corp. A lot of guys went on to play college football if it wasn't Division I. But we even had Mark Merrill, world wrestling champion, on the 78 team.
Yep.
Bill Pendok wanted to quit high school.
Yeah, he quit high school to play pro hockey or something.
George saw him in the hallway, saw how big he was, says, you're going to play football. So he called Bill Pendok. Bill wanted to quit high school and be a truck driver.
Yep.
Coach O'Leary talked him out of it, says, no, you're going to stay. You're going to graduate. You're going to play football for me. What Bill goes on to Syracuse. What was that? Tim Green, Bill Pendok. Who was the other?
Sweeney. Chuck Sweeney.
It was. I'm talking the four.
Henry Florinori.
It was the defensive group. The defensive starters at Syracuse had a special name. The four-wheel
drive or something.
Four-wheel drive. Yeah, him and Blaze Winter and those guys. Yeah. They were good, man. They were good.
Tim Green. I remember Tim Green at practice. He was limping. He had sprained his ankle. I told George, the team was coming back to the huddle. I said, George, I think Tim's hurt. Green was not going to say to Coach O'Leary, I'm hurt. Not even in practice. And George was not going to pull him. He's going to finish practice. He's limping. He'll still finish practice. And, of course, Tim Green, being the way he is, like most of you guys, he toughed it out. Today's kids,
don't know. I don't know about it. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, afraid to lose your spot.
Right. Yeah, everybody's afraid.
Because there were guys behind us that could play.
Oh, he didn't want me to play both ways. I had to go in and talk him into it, and I don't know how that ever happened because you didn't talk him into anything. But I don't know how he let me play defense as well as offense. Thank God he did.
Hey, Paul, you were good at everything you freaking did. That was the difference,
Thanks, Woody. Yeah, I loved all sports.
Hey, basketball, you were throwing up 18 to 20 every freaking night.
And I wish I could have played hockey at the same time. I wish I could have played on the hockey team.
Okay. Well, a quick story. I'm glad you mentioned basketball. At the end of your senior year, we're getting ready for a sectional championship, right? Word got to the coaches or to George that some of you guys went to CYO basketball one night during the week, right? He called, I don't know, it was three or four guys. He called them into the coach's room. And I'm sitting there. He reamed you guys out, or whoever it was. He reamed them out. You guys, we're getting ready for the sectional championship, and you're playing CYO basketball at night. What if you get hurt? You're all off the team. Turn your equipment in. Get out of here. Well, they were all starters.
So I know. He kicked me off the team a couple of times.
I'm laughing my head off. I said, "There's no way he's going to kick him off the team." But he had those guys convinced. You're off the team. Turn in your stuff.
He reamed me and Goulet out. We got caught smoking one night, man. Oh my God, he was livid with us. He was just. Hey, me and Goo ran extra for longest time, man. Oh my God. It was something else. Hey guys, we got to do this again soon, man. We really do. This is a lot of fun.
I appreciate it, Paul.
I appreciate you guys coming on the show, man. What
Coach,
a blast.
nice seeing you again.
Yeah, it was great to see you. Woody, good luck. Good luck. When are you leaving for Europe? A couple weeks?
March 5th.
March 5th.
Helsinki, Finland, Coach.
Helsinki? Have you never been there before?
Never been up there. I spent most of my time down in the Mediterranean.
Out of all the countries you've been in, man, and all the cities, which is numerous, from Italy to New York to Ithaca to California to Germany to blah.
Haven't had a bad trip. Haven't had a bad trip? Nope. I'm the luckiest guy on the planet.
I love you, Woody. Thanks, man. Thanks for coming. Coach Pan, I love you. Coach Pannafino, thanks, man, for coming on.
See you, Coach.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks. So long. Wow. That was freaking awesome. I want to thank those guys for being on the show. What a lot of fun. Those two were really successful. Great stories. Stay tuned for these great messages from our sponsors. Without them, this just wouldn't be possible. Thanks for watching, everybody.
There's a reason why Hill Kelly in Pensacola is the #1 selling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram dealer between Jacksonville and New Orleans. While other dealers have taken advantage of a competitive market with higher prices, Hill Kelly has discounted prices to the lowest of the year. And Hill Kelly in Pensacola won't surprise you with excessive charges beyond the selling price. Come see why people from Milton, Pace, Foley, Bay Minette, Daphne, Gulf Shores, Mobile, and beyond are driving to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to buy their next new Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, or Ram. At Hill Kelly, the bottom line price and your satisfaction are what really matter. So before you sign, check the bottom line and make the trip to Hill Kelly in Pensacola to see what true local ownership can do for you. At Hill Kelly Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Highway 29 in Car City, Pensacola. Or shop online 24/7 at hillkellydodge.com. When it comes to bottom line pricing, nobody beats a Hill Kelly deal. Nobody.
Hey, Bill, some game, huh?
I haven't really noticed, Paul.
What? The biggest game of the year?
I've been looking over my insurance. Talk about problems I'm trying to figure out.
Well, do what I did. Call the Seiler Agency. They showed me what I needed and what I didn't. They even saved me money. Now, instead of worrying about my insurance, I can worry about the big game.
Contact the Seiler Agency at 476-7443 for all of your insurance needs. Your independent agent for home, auto, boat, RV, commercial, general liability, life, and sound investment strategies. Call 476-7443 today.
Are you riding around in a filthy vehicle? Dirty car no more. Visit Ronnie's Car Wash today to get it shining in no time. They have 3 convenient locations with another coming soon. The unlimited monthly wash packages start as low as $14.95 per month with free vacuums, multi-purpose spray, and towels. Visit them in Gulf Breeze, Navarre, Fort Walton, and soon Crestview. Don't wait, wash today. Be sure to see Ronnie's Car Wash on Facebook to see the latest specials and discounts. You'll be riding and shining in no time.
Step One works so hard to get you in the perfect PuickGMC.com. Looking for a better car buying experience? With the Step 1 Advantage from Buick GMC, Fort Walton Beach, and Pensacola, receive no-hassle market-based pricing or incentives by pre-ordering. Looking to sell or trade? Our dedicated team will even come to you. Plus, every vehicle sold at Step 1 supports local charities right in your neighborhood. Experience the Step 1 Advantage at Buick GMC, Fort Walton Beach, and Pensacola today.
75 years of service and high tech today. It's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348. High tech is a term often applied to advanced services and products in today's marketplace. And today, glass is much more than the simple pane of brittle, see-through stuff we hit baseballs through when we were kids. Glass is now a product with unique flexibility in both performance and application. And Pensacola Glass Company is growing right along. That's Pensacola Glass Company at 433-8348.
Did you know there's a place where you can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great rates on your home and auto insurance? Yep, and that place is, ta-da, State Farm. Here's the deal. State Farm agent Will Rentschler is your go-to agent in Pensacola, Florida for the service you deserve at the price that you want. So stop shopping around. State Farm agent Will Rentschler has you covered. Call 850-433-4678 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Legal disclaimer, individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements.